about comics. Let's talk about comics. Let's talk about comics. Let's talk about comics. Hey friends, how you doing? This is another edition of Tales from the Discount Bin, and today I want to talk about WWE comic book number 17 from Boom Comics. This came out in 2018, and I was able to get it from a discount sale at Midtown Comics. I've read other books from this series, and I really wasn't too impressed with them. Covering wrestling in media, be it movies or TV shows, is very difficult because you have to balance out how are you going to tell the story of professional wrestling. Because when I was coming up, the secret of wrestling was something that was very well kept. But now everybody knows what professional wrestling is, as far as it is it entertainment, is it competition, is it athletic, is it acting? We know the cat is out of the bag. And what you see a lot of times in media, going back to the infamous movie Ready to Rumble, which I love, even though it is a deeply flawed movie. Uh, but in that movie, they wanted to both predict wrestling as a legitimate sport, but also as what it is, which is a show with predetermined outcomes. And what it did, in essence, was insult wrestling fans' intelligence. And then you have other parts in media, like the show Heels, where I haven't seen the show, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. But it shows the true, real deal behind the scenes of professional wrestling and what it is. And it seems to highlight the competition that there is. And it's not so much competition about who's winning and who's losing, but who is going to be at the top of the card and who is going to be getting the most money in the best matches. And so those are just two different ways that wrestling has been represented in fiction. And this book actually, I thought, did a very good job of that. This book very much falls into the side of keeping up the charade of wrestling, if you will. There is no hints of wrestling being predetermined or scripted. It is told from the perspective not of the people, but the characters which they portray. And it doesn't vary off of that. And so that's the first thing that I really like about it. This features Bailey, and specifically around the time when she lost her NXT championship, and about the internal struggle of not being on the top of NXT, which at the time was WWE's minor league developmental system. But her friends are all on the big shows. They're all on the main roster shows. Sasha Banks, Charlotte, Becky Lynch are all on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. And she is one of the longest tenured people at this time in NXT. And customarily, when you lose your title, you're instantly called up. And trying to balance the emotions of losing the title and not being called up at the same time, and wondering what, her status is and how long she is for the company. And I like the way it starts here with the inner monologue. It talks about you come in right at the end of the match, and her inner monologue. There's nothing hard about losing a match. I mean, the actual fighting is pretty hard, as always. And fighting makes one of the hardest things. Fighting is one of the hardest things ever. But I came to play and give as good as I got. I was back and forth the whole match, and she caught me with her Oscar lock, and I was only out for a second. But you turn the page and you see the inevitable. Um, her laying in the range, kind of dealing with the fact that she lost, and you go from the big lights and the big moment here to everyday reality, waking up the next day as not the champion and wondering where her career is going to go from there. I liked it, and one thing I really liked about it was the the way that the wrestling is drawn. You have a few match moments that are captured here, and you can see exactly what is going on. You know that Oscar here is going for an ankle lock. We have a spinning back fist, a flying elbow, all of these dynamic moves captured to perfection. And so it captures the beauty. And when you're in the big arenas, it captures the size and the spectacle of professional wrestling. And when you're with Bailey by herself, or here at the NXT Performance Center, it's back to reality, back to being another worker, another employee, except for now you're the old guard and you don't have the title anymore and you don't know where your career is going to go from there. And it really brings, even though it leans more into the um let's just say, let's call it, well, it's called kayfabe, and that is the suspension of disbelief and portraying everything that you see on the screen as reality. And this leans 100% into kayfabe. I hate using that word because it's a wrestling insider word, and I am not a wrestling insider. So that's why I hesitate to use the word. But the writing leans into that, and it gives it's almost like a companion piece to the story that you saw unfold on TV. And we go through that to her rematch of when she lost the rematch and wondering what's going to happen. Eventually, to her call up to the main shows and everything that kind of led to that. I really, really, really enjoyed this, and I thought it did a great job of capturing the memories of that moment and time in Bailey's career because I was a big fan of hers at this time. And, you know, the mindset of the character and what they were going through from this time. And then you get to the end here and you go directly from that story to a very short story of Asuka and her time going from NXT to the main roster and her interactions with Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose and Alexa Bliss. And I'm not sure if that is a teaser to a future edition or what's going on here. But as a fan from this time, I enjoyed the book. I enjoyed the fact that they decided to keep it 100% kayfabe and told the story as a companion piece to the televised product, as opposed to a behind the scene things or flipping back and forth like they tried and failed to do in Ready to Rumble. Like I said, this is from Boom Comics. It's number 17, and you know, sign up for those Midtown Comics mailing lists because they're always having at least, it seems, one time a month. We're going to be having big 99-cent sales or flash sales, and you get your hands on some of these older comics. And if you're a wrestling fan, in particular a WWE fan, this is another way to interact with the product and to get another angle on stories that are being told on the TV screen. So that's my thought. Check it out. Um, you know, go check it out your local comic book store. And as always, if you don't have a local comic book store, I suggest my friends over at Coffee and a Comic, where they have great deals. They ship nationwide, and they give you free fresh ground coffee with every order. So go check them out. I will see you next time. Until then, keep reading them books. You know I'm going to. I am out.